Actually not American, citizens all over the world. We're getting raped on every continent by the scumbags in power. Power corrupts. Maybe you've heard that. We should almost have a rule which is every 12 months we kill everyone in power. Right? Think of it as like cancer prevention. Right? You see a tumor, you got to get that shit out of your body fast before shit spreads. When you see somebody bad in government, we need to drown them in the lake immediately so they don't corrupt their fellow goons in government. If we know power corrupts, why is it in 2016 we're still allowing people in power to act like their shit doesn't stink? Right? Obviously, you'd have the most cameras and most recording devices on earth are going to be watching the police, politicians, and the judicial branch. Obviously. But for some reason they want fewer cameras, like the Supreme Court doesn't want cameras, and their argument is, of course, fake. But don't believe me. They keep saying, no. Power not only doesn't corrupt, you should just completely trust us. That's what every politician says, every media outlet says, every billionaire says, everyone. All the people in power say that. You should just blindly trust us. Today, let's hope I can not digress too much. Here's a like 87-page thing I just got yesterday. I guess I really wanted to make this about just showing you, again, how judges and prosecutors, and remember, the secret weapon of this super Nazi government, the USSA, is that they give you your own lawyer if you're not rich. And their lawyer, your lawyer is being paid for by your enemy. What could go wrong? And also keep this in mind, they pay your attorney more if they don't work on your case, literally. Example, in New York City, we have Legal Aid Society. They're salaried. That means, literally, the less work they do on your case, the more money they pocket. Because it raises, right? If you're getting paid $1,000 a week, let's say, well, if you work 1 hour a week, you're getting paid a lot more per hour than if you work 90 hours that week. And that was deliberate. It's unconstitutional. Nobody cares. This country talks about Kardashian. The reporters are fucking liars. Wake up. I'm digressing. But this also involves the Rachel Trachtenburg scandal, which is, remember, the most insane story in the history of man. And I dare people, I could be wrong, but I've challenged all kinds of people, critics and allies alike. Think of one story in human history more batshit crazy than Rachel Trachtenburg gate. Just one. Because, in fact, it's crazier than the next 500 stories combined. That's how crazy it is. Now, you're going to doubt me because you don't know any of the facts. I do. Example, the analogy would be if all the blacks united to stop Martin Luther King Jr. and his civil rights activism. That would be the Rachel Trachtenberg game. Or when Led Zeppelin found out that they were going to be sued by Willie Dixon and others they plagiarized, if Led Zeppelin had said, we're rich and powerful, let's use our riches and our power to get people to frame Willie Dixon into jail until he agrees to shut the fuck up about us ripping him off. That would be Rachel Trachtenberg gate. Can you name any story in the history of music that insane as the analogy I gave you? Thank you. It's worse than anybody. In fact, even if 90% of Rachel Trachtenberg gate came out, and that would be, for example, if it was a book, it'd be 900,000 pages. It's that big. It's that sprawling. Plus, the government didn't just commit a bunch of crimes. In the Rachel Trachtenberg case alone, now disgraced DA Charles Hynes and the government got caught in over 50,000 separate crimes in one arrest. How could you even do that? That's like a lot of work. How can you break the law 50,000 different times in one arrest? I'm not going to explain it all here. I do talk about it in the other Rachel videos. I got this yesterday. But it's from July 2015. I'm getting this January 2016 because our legal system sucks. This is the government, the Brooklyn DA's office, my opponents, and this is Rachel Trachtenberg's team who put me in jail, tortured me in Rikers, and would have killed me if I had not been able to sneak food. for one example. They tried to kill me a number of different ways, but that was the biggest one. Just don't feed him. And then when he dies of natural causes, we just say he died of natural causes. And the stupid human sheep believe it. Oh, well, everybody dies, so Rikers didn't kill him. I don't doubt government. Why would you doubt police and government and judges? These are the good guys. That's what I was told since I was born. The biggest news is exactly as I predicted, and everyone, remember, even every one of my friends called me crazy. Every one of my allies called me crazy. And now my enemies say, it looks like Christopher was right completely. And every judge and every prosecutor and most defense attorneys were wrong on the law and Christopher was right. We're sorry. They say that. That's point number one. Now let me show it to you a couple times here. We have to go to page 49 just to get to that first point. Amazing. Now just to let you know, when you read, it's an appeals court. They say, right now they claim I was convicted of harassing Rachel Trachtenburg. They love to highlight that I'm an old musician, that she was a helpless teenage girl. All distortions. The very fact that they list the ages should have clued you in. They're trying to do a smear job. Smear job. Sure, Julian Assange sexually harassed women. You don't need to listen to what WikiLeaks says. Who cares? They're just... Remember, you see it. The dialogue is whether Ed Snowden is a hero or a villain. But that's not the issue. The issue is they say his information was correct, that the U.S. government committed all kinds of national crimes and international crimes. The right wing says that Ed Snowden is a traitor, but he told the truth that we all broke the law. We all agree. It's unanimous. Snowden's information was legit. So now the only debate is, should they get jail or should they be hung? Should all of the government officials he exposed be hung or should they spend life in prison? That's what the debate should be. But again, they've done what they always do, which is you get human beings arguing, is it good or bad that the earth is flat? And the people argue and argue over whether it's good or bad that the earth is flat. And there's one asshole going, hey, fucking idiots. They got you arguing a fake debate to distract you. The earth isn't even flat, you dumb fucks. So, this is the appeal. I'm looking at two different assholes writing about my life and the facts. Neither asshole knows anything about me. Neither asshole has ever met me on either side. And they're both fucking hacks. Oh, I shouldn't be so loud. I think somebody's sleeping in the other room, even though it's only 9:30. Let's go to page 49, just to show you. I think I can read you their exact words if you doubt me. Although at this point nobody doubts me because they can just Google People v. Golb, like solid gold, but with a B at the end, like banana. Golb, G-O-L-B, from 2014, where the New York Court of Appeals said I was smarter than every judge in New York City combined. Not bad, Christopher. Thank you. So that's settled. You can Google it. It's settled. But they're still clinging on, trying to hold on to anything they can say. CXB's a bad guy, and some of his arrests are legit. Some of his charges are legit. Nice try, assholes, douchebags. And remember, it's all your money they stole that they're spending. Are you going to get pissed off or what? You'd all have a fucking swimming pool with just the money the courts steal from you in 12 months. Every American would have a fucking swimming pool. It's your choice. You can have a better world if you want it, but not if you don't get off your fucking asses. Point one, I don't know, I'm using a MacBook Pro. That means it has a computer that's like I was going to say 1930s, but the cameras in 1930 were a lot better than this piece of shit built in. And the cameras even in 1910 were better than this piece of shit. This is like a glorified pinwheel because Apple makes quality products. And this is a professional. Remember, this isn't some soccer mom's computer. I'm using a MacBook Pro professional. Remember, this resolution is the finest that exists, says Apple. Maybe they lied. And that also you get what you pay for. So since you spent the most for the most expensive computer, you're going to get the best resolution. Hey, all right, thanks, Apple. You can't even see this shit. Point one. Defendants, notice it's all in caps. So when you see people online arguing, like, oh, you gotta use all caps, that person is a liar. Anyone who complains about all caps is a liar. They're trying to change the subject. In legal documents, they use all caps for major points, for emphasis. Duh. Defendant's judgment of conviction should be modified by vacating the convictions of aggravated harassment in the second degree because the Court of Appeals has invalidated the statute under which he was prosecuted. Do you understand that? What they're saying is, okay, the entire prosecution of him was illegal from the start. That's one thing they're saying there. Oh, now, they even admit that I said that in the trial before the Court of Appeals said CXB's right, before it was settled. They're going to say, he just got lucky predicting the future. No, I didn't. You all fucking lied. Not one person thought that statute was legal. Nobody in law. Every judge knew it was illegal. Every cop knew it was illegal. Every lawyer, DA, and defense attorney knew it was illegal. And every one of them lied because they all didn't. None of them wanted to rock the boat. Pieces of shit. So right there, the Rachel Trachtenburg scandal, which I'm paying for the rest of my life. Anybody who Googles me on planet Earth reads in the New York Times and other pieces of shit that I harass teenage girls, It's meant to change the subject. Really, could you be, why are you so vague? He harasses teenage girls, Why so vague? If I was a bad guy, you would put specifics. You see? Remember, the only reason a person is vague is because they're trying to lie to you. If I had done something bad, example, had I broken Rachel's nose, and then that led to an assault charge or harassment charge, because people don't know this. If you beat somebody up, but there's no blood or bruises, it's not assault in New York State. Under the law, if I punch you in the face 10 times, but there's no bruising, it's harassment. Harassment means 50,000 different things. It's like disorderly conduct. It allows them to do whatever they want and make it look legit. You think your legal system is dirty? You're not even close. To call it completely dirty would be quite the understatement. Believe me, I've been dealing with it for 25 years. No, actually even longer. So, what was I saying? Let me apologize for my hair. Obviously, I didn't shower today again. Fuck off. The Rachel Trachtenburg case is settled, but still her team is just going to try and just keep telling people to lie. Even the newspapers in New York City refuse to report that, it turns out that every judge and every cop and every DA for 20 plus years broke the law. When this landmark decision was passed down by the Court of Appeals in 2014, the entire media said, not news. The police have been falsely jailing millions of men, destroying millions of families, stealing billions of dollars from taxpayers, and it was all wrong and illegal? We can't tell the public that, because if we do, they're going to stop trusting police, DAs, judges, and this legal system. Now, remember, when the newspaper omits that for that reason, that's fraud. That's not freedom of the press. That's fraud. They're trying to deceive their customers to maintain the fucking billionaire status quo. It's completely illegal. And if anyone who says it isn't, tell that motherfucker to come debate me and watch them go, I don't have time to debate him. No one has ever been willing to debate me because I know the facts. And again, my enemies say I was completely right. So remember that. The Rachel Trachtenburg case is gone. It's dead. It's essentially dead, and it has been for 2 fucking years. But no one will tell people the truth but me. And just to show you how bad it is, this appeal is filed by the Legal Aid Society, already deemed by the top judge in New York State as an unconstitutional organization. So why are they still allowed to exist? Because everything in your court system is dirty. So I got this asshole here, Arthur Hopkirk. Now, Arthur Hopkirk is like anybody else. Remember, he gets paid more the less work he does. So he's got 2 choices. This Mr. Brodeur is getting fucking railroaded. I should fight to liberate this man and make sure justice is served. Or he could say, I could not really work on the case, fucking phone it in, and watch the game instead. And you can guess what he did. Like most. If you pay somebody when they don't do their job, they're not going to do their job. We knew this a few years ago. So why are we still tolerating it? Again, the American justice system, again, remember, it's not just unethical. A lot of stupid people think, this is unjust. Unjust? No. It's completely illegal under U.S. laws. Under the Bill of Rights, you can arrest every police officer today, every DA today, every judge, or maybe almost every judge in America. today, just under the Bill of Rights. And in fact, it even says that in the Declaration of Independence and other documents. They says, okay, we're gonna create a Bill of Rights to stop these criminals. Police. Remember, that's what the Bill of Rights says. Judges are criminals, police are criminals, DAs are criminals. The news media doesn't want you to remember that. Society does not want you to remember that. All the Bill of Rights says is that we need to protect the people from cops, judges, sheriffs, lawyers, prosecutors, DAs. That's all the Bill of Rights, and legislators and politicians. It literally says they're the real criminals. We're done here. If the Bill of Rights exists, we're done. We need to but who's going to arrest all the police and judges? See? Ding, ding, ding. They control the means of production. They control the means of prosecution. What was I saying? I don't know how much I want to talk about this because it's fascinating. Watch these two assholes. Now listen to me. So remember, Arthur Hopkirk, that's the guy who's my teammate. My enemies, hired him and said, we'll pay you more if you fucking lose this case, we'll literally pay you more, which they did do. He then phones in this. This is what this piece of shit does. Now, just to put this in perspective, even if the statute they arrested me for in the Rachel Trachtenburg case, harassment, again, I didn't finish the point about how vague it is, right? Maybe I punched Rachel in the face. Well, if I punched Rachel in the nose and broke her nose, that's what they would say because it sounds horrible. So if they don't say that, it means they don't think it's horrible what I did. They can't say he sent 3 mass emails out to his 11,000 email list. They can't say that because then people go, you gave him 6 years for that? Okay, something's not adding up here. And so they had to be vague with the harassment. It doesn't fucking mean anything. But never mind that, the statute they used was unconstitutional. Everybody knew it was. It was brazenly unconstitutional. Example, it outlawed annoying speech. Now, remember, this is a key point. Even if that statute had been legal, I didn't violate it. So they don't have a case. They don't even have a hint of a case. They don't even have a hint of a hint of a hint of a hint of a case. Do you follow what I'm saying? Everything they said was false, was proven false. But it doesn't matter. The cards are stacked against you in a court of U.S. law. So, what this jerk-off did. Now, just to let you know, the trial was magnificent, as I talk about in other videos, and it couldn't have gone much better. I obliterated every single thing they said times 100. There was no prayer. There was no hint of a case. None of it was, not one shred of it was legitimate or honest. Not one shred. She wasn't even the victim. Just to show you how bad it was. And Rachel testified. She never called the police. Her mom and dad did. Her dad went to a precinct to try and report a crime against his 18-year-old daughter. Harassment. Again, it's very misleading. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, that means I was standing outside of the clubs where her band was playing, passing out cartoon flyers, exposing the sleazy shit she did to me, and exposing the sleazy shit her parents did. That's when they say harass, vague. Because if they said he passed out flyers with cartoons outside of clubs where she was and her parents were performing to expose their crimes, people are going to go, whoa, 6 years in jail for that? Whoa, what happened to free speech? Like in this, for example, the DA's office today still argues. But they use phrases like, he went to her shows. Well, it's vague. I went to her shows? Nope. I had no interest in going into the venue to see the show. My job, I went there to pass out my flyers to all of her customers and the Trachtenberg's customers so they could see, and their friends could see, oh my God, is this true? It's called sunlight is the best disinfectant. I'm a whistleblower. I expose evil humans who fuck up our world and our society. And so when they say that, it's all vague shit, which is your first clue that they had intention to lie. This is fraud and conspiracy. You could arrest a lot of people. If this thing's in my hands, you could arrest a lot of people. But again, who polices the police who police the police? Who polices judges? Nobody. Who polices prosecutors? No one. But they don't want you to know that because you might riot. It's national security. We can't tell you the truth about anything. They convicted me, and they had to cheat they pulled out every stop to cheat. Because without this conviction, they were fucked. I don't want to get into details. If they had not pulled off this conviction, it would have been devastating. We're talking prison sentences, etc. This is a serious case. And again, remember, it's actually the most insane legal prosecution in history. You can't compare this to the Salem witches, ladies and gentlemen. The Salem witches was crazy. Not even close. Not even close to this. Again, remember the Led Zeppelin analogy? Remember the Martin King Jr. analogy? All right? Those are two examples. If all the Jews had united to stop Moses from freeing the slaves, you'd have this case. But people go, that couldn't be possible. That wouldn't make any sense. Right? Rachel lied and cheated, and her parents lied and cheated to put their ally into prison to protect their enemies. It's worse than that sounds, but I'm not, please make sure I don't digress, because I can go on forever. And even in the videos I posted, the other videos about the trial and the fake arrest, etc., don't scratch the surface. Tens of thousands of crimes in this one trial. But here's my point. My point is that this lazy piece of shit lawyer who's fighting for me, this is the DA's brief. My lawyer, this is what this piece of shit does. My lawyer, court appointed. He says, he looks at it and he goes, man, this is a huge clusterfuck of a case. Oh man, I don't want to do any work. What's the shortest route I can take to try and make it look like I'm doing my job so I still get paid? And this fucking piece of shit, oh, pardon my head thingy, I gotta cover up my weave and my gigantic bald spot. Just kidding. I actually like this. I look like, I don't know what the fuck, some asshole, but whatever. Fuck you. Don't you judge me, motherfuckers. This piece of shit, this is what this piece, he thinks, what's the least amount of work I can do on this case and look like I'm sort of doing my work? So this piece of shit, he says, how do I get this stuff thrown out? The asshole decides to say, I know what, I'll pretend Mr. Brodeur, CXB, was mentally insane and unfit to be his own attorney. That's what my ally said. He said, well, Brodeur's a investigator, reporter, and activist. If his teammate, argues he's insane, that would undermine his entire life's work. And Arthur's going to pay dearly because he has no legal protection. I can sue him, he has insurance for malpractice, and I can sue his bosses, the Legal Aid Society, because they knew he was a criminal. And I make sure I inform all these people so when the lawsuits hit them, they don't have any of the defenses they would normally use. I'm very good. I'm usually way ahead of everybody else. The problem is I always win in the end because it takes so long for human society to fucking catch up to reality. So his arguments are Mr. Brodeur, his convictions, 7 charges, 4 harass, 3 contempt of court for sending the mass emails, 3 mass emails. That's it. 3 mass emails, 7 charges, all misdemeanors, all for speech, 6 years plus jail is what I got. I only served 2 years. The very fact that the judge gave me max, here's a big, I mean, remember, this is an amazing case. It's impossible to wrap your head around because every single individual fact is batshit crazy. It's not like, oh, there's some crazy facts in this case. There's not a fact in this case that isn't crazy. Not one. In any way. One example, we have a judge who can't legally preside on 5 levels. Okay. We have a prosecutor who can't prosecute the case on 13 different levels. Example, the 3 mass emails they're prosecuting me for mention their crimes. The prosecutor's crimes, Jessica Wilson and Guttman, and Charles Hynes. You see, they'd have to recuse themselves. Each fact of the case is that retarded, and on its face is ludicrous. So this piece of shit, he can get this conviction, and I had long talks with him, lots of emails, because I like the email trail, so I can get this motherfucker in a court of law, or at least the court of public opinion if I have to, because we have a paper trail, proves everything I said. I didn't make this shit up. I told him, and I gave him some easy ways. I'm like, you can get this whole Rachel case thrown out 500 different ways. So pick your 10 easiest. He picks ones that are idiotic and fake. He doesn't pick any of the ones I suggest or any of the ones that are real. He makes up his own shortcuts. 1, Mr. Brodeur was too insane to be allowed to be his own attorney. 2, Mr. Brodeur's waiver to not be there the last day of trial. Pardon me while I pick my nose. I'm so honest, I don't even care that you can see me, so fuck you. I got nothing to hide, motherfuckers. I love this resolution. I mean, Apple knows how to make quality photographs. I mean, they really do. I don't know where I was wrong all those years. I said Apple produces garbage. I was wrong. Don't let me digress. So the judge, so this lawyer, this piece of shit hack lawyer they give me to file this appeal, he's got 500 different ways. Now remember, he only needs one One of them. To get the conviction overturned. My first conviction was overturned unanimously, instantly, by 5 judges in the appeals court. I think I have a bit of credibility. I have a better legal track record than any of the lawyers they've ever given me. I have a better legal track record than every lawyer they gave me over 25 years combined. Think about that. I, as my own attorney, have a better legal track record than every court-appointed attorney they gave me in my lifetime. We're talking dozens and dozens. That should fucking chill you to the bone. But let's move on. He basically makes like 3 main arguments. I'm too insane. He makes the point, it's like a technical point, and it's insipid, it's inane that he comes up with this desperate technicality to try and squirm out. If I was the appeals court, I would think I was completely guilty, because it's like, if his lawyer is this desperate, saying your client's too insane, shouldn't have been allowed to be his own lawyer, it's a desperate move. That implies that my lawyer thinks I'm completely guilty. Now, I've never met the asshole, so maybe he does, because that's how they designed the legal system. To make sure the government had every possible advantage to cheat in their favor in every single case. It's a miracle that we have a Bill of Rights still, partially, kind of. It's a miracle that anything goes right. It's a miracle. Thank you, Jesus. Baby Jesus. Another one of his points is, the second technicality is that the last day of trial, I wasn't present in the courtroom. It's a long story. I won't go into the details. So he tries to argue that the waiver wasn't appropriate. The waiver so that I wasn't present. And him and the DA both argue the defendant wasn't present, the defendant wasn't present. Forgetting that I was the attorney. When you call me the defendant, that's misleading, because I was the defendant and the defense counsel. Big difference. Now to say the defense counsel wasn't present changes everything. So they both leave that out. Let's stick together against the CXB guy. Don't rock the boat with your fake adversarial system. There was a couple other arguments he made in here. What was one? Another one was, I don't have his original appeal. He never mailed it to me. But I just read the DA's thing, and then I read his reply to the DA's reply. And it's technical crap. Oh, let's see. What was the third? I want to give you one more example of... He didn't make many legal arguments because he's lazy fucking. He gets paid more if he doesn't do his job. Look at this crap. Point 3. The oral purported waiver of appellant's right to be present on the last day of his trial failed to satisfy the written waiver requirement contained in CPL 340.50, paragraph 2. It's desperate. Desperate, especially because he leaves out in the same category what would have been flawless. They did a big dirty trick to me. I think most people know the way trials work. Now, everything they do in trials is illegal. But let me give you an example. You know how it works. After both sides have made their case, first the government makes their argument, says this guy did all these crimes. Then you get a chance to do whatever you want. You can testify. You might not want to testify if you're lying. I always testify in all of my trials, in all 9 so far. I have testified and I demanded to testify. And not once did any prosecutors find me in a contradiction. You know why? My secret? If I'm not lying, you can't catch me in a lie, motherfuckers. You think they would have learned that after the first 13 or 20 times I kicked their ass. But Goliath doesn't learn. Goliath is drunk on power. So, I'm digressing. I did smoke pot a little while ago, but I think I actually made me a little more coherent right now. Sorry, I apologize. I'm very bad at these diaries because I'm juggling thousands of things, and you would actually find a lot of these things I'm juggling exciting, but I'm like, no, I can't digress on all these things. Let me try and keep it simple for you because it's already a clusterfuck, and this is just one of 43 fake trips to jail. Just one. How complicated is my life? It's the most complicated life in human history. If anybody wants to debate that, let's bring it on. Get yourself 30 historians and bring it on. Oh, so the way a trial works is, they made their case against me. Then I did my defense, obliterated everything they did. I even got Rachel under oath to contradict herself dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And I kept saying, Your Honor, when does the perjury kick in? When does the perjury kick in? They even admitted I was right, that her father forged a supporting deposition. They even admit that. The DA even admits that in this huge piece, that the dad of Rachel, the alleged victim, forged a supporting deposition. Now, we're done. Anyone in law knows that forging a supporting deposition is a more serious crime than any of the lies they've alleged that I did. Ta-da! Nothing smells right. So this is one of the tens of thousands of dirty tricks they did in just this one trial. Thursday, we got to closing arguments on Thursday. As you know, I would give a closing argument to the jury. We have a jury of 7 people. 6 people and 3 alternates, whatever. Yeah, 6 people because it's a misdemeanor. And then 3 alternates. I get to give my closing statement, summing up all that happened in the 3-week trial to refresh their memories about things. You saw Rachel lie about this. You saw her change her story here. You saw her say this. You saw the DA and her contradict each other. You saw the evidence contradict that. I tie it all in together. But the judge didn't give me much time. Now, remember, this is a judge who couldn't legally preside for actually hundreds of reasons. Example, I had repeatedly insulted him and proved him wrong on the law. So he had a personal incentive to want to fuck me. I have a right to a judge who has no conflicts of interest. But they do things like torture you in jail, so you can't get a better judge. Because if you want a better judge, you're like, oh, cool, you're going to get tortured for an extra couple months in jail while we wait. They've set everything up illegally. Remember, it's not an unethical system. Not a drop of it's legal. And there's constitutional scholars who say, he's wrong. All you got to do is ask them to debate me. And when you see them start to choke, you'll know, I think I'm going to trust Christopher on this. He's not scared to debate you legal experts. But you're all scared to debate him. Fuck you. What they did was very dirty. Now, first of all, I have to digress on this. It is 100% perfectly illegal that in every single trial in America, I believe, the government gets the last word. Now, you know, and most people know this, in America, we have a system where any tilt of the scales of justice goes to the defendant, innocent till proven guilty. That means the last word in a trial must go to the defense, not the government. Now, there's people who say, he's wrong. He's wrong. That was settled by the Supreme Court. Well, that wouldn't count because the Supreme Court would have a conflict of interest. That's one of the reasons why our entire legal system is broken and corrupt. It's built on nothing but conflicts of interest. Here's a secret they will never tell you. And most scholars will tell you I'm wrong too. But my record proves I'm smarter than all of you combined, which isn't saying much. Because you're all fucking tools who just parrot the same shit you've all been taught in the legal schools, which isn't correct. Because you're all fucking lazy. It is illegal for a criminal judge in America to be an ex-prosecutor. And that's almost every criminal judge in America. Now, you can understand why the government would appoint judges who are ex-prosecutors. Because it makes it easier for the police to get away with shit. And the police work for the politician. In New York City, the mayor appoints all the judges I'm in front of. Now, I'm known as Bloomberg and Giuliani's #1 enemy. So then they put me in front of judges who will lose their job if they don't convict me. It's all completely dirty. But that's even worse because, remember, the judge used to be a prosecutor. So they have a bias against all defendants and the Bill of Rights already. Everything they told you is a lie. None of the system is remotely legal under the Bill of Rights. They would say, we don't appoint ex-prosecutors to be judges to tilt the scales towards police. And Goliath, no, we do it just because there's a lot of them around. Well, really? Well, if what you're saying is true, then you have no reason to ever appoint another prosecutor again as a judge because you're not doing it to the scales of justice. So you might as well just use criminal defense attorneys to prove us wrong. And they'll go, well, no. Why? Because they're afraid that'll tilt the scales back to defense, which is the law. And there ain't no cop in America who obeys the law. Ain't no judge in America who obeys the law. Remember, the Supreme Court is completely unconstitutional, but they won't tell you the truth. And they ban my YouTube videos. They've blocked me. They've shut down my pages all over the web, blogs, everything. They're dirty criminals. But I'm still too loud here. So what they did at the closing of my case is, I think I even argued that. Said, Your Honor, I should get the last word, blah, 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 blah. And his legal response was the same. Every judge gives me the same legal response, which is, I am, I'm blanking on the word. I'm disallowing your request. Disallowing is a shitty word. What's the word? I'm denying your request, Christopher. And I say, under what legal grounds? I always would do that. Under what legal grounds? You can't just say, I'm denying your legal request, because a liar moron could say that. You have to say, I'm denying your legal request because it's wrong because of A, B, C, D. That's what I always do. I don't tell people they're wrong. I tell you're wrong and here's why. I'll prove it. I back up what I say. Any asshole can say, I deny your request. So when I said to him, what's your legal argument? Why don't I get the last word? He said, I've made my decision, move on. Ding, 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 ding. Because I said so. That's the first mark of a Nazi, because I said so. They don't back their shit up with logic. Actually, that's unfair. The Nazis were a lot more honest than this legal system. Again, I have to make that point because people think it's an exaggeration. If you look at Nazi Germany's legal system and you compare it to America's, they are complete opposites. Everybody agrees the Nazis actually were law-abiding. It's that their laws were wrong and unethical, but they were law-abiding. Not even Jews say, they didn't kill 6 million Jews. They killed 6 million Aryans, blonde, blue-eyed Aryans, but claimed they were Jews. Because that's how America does it. Half the people in jail are framed because cops are lazy, so they grab the nearest black guy or the nearest Latino guy. I could tell you so many secrets, but I'm not allowed to. And this is why everybody is united in New York City. Every media outlet, everybody has united to destroy me and my life, to get me to kill myself. Because I'm the most dangerous man on the planet. Fuck Ed Snowden, he didn't do anything. If society found out 1% of what I know, there'd be riots in the street against these super Nazis. Again, it's not fair to call them super Nazis. Everybody agrees. The Nazis didn't frame a whole bunch of Aryans. Those people, everybody agrees. Anne Frank was actually guilty. That's not open to debate. You like to forget that, people. Anne Frank was in violation of the law, meaning her arrest and internment was lawful. That's very different than the zillions of cases in America, like 113 guys on death row who were innocent and were framed by police. There's no comparing the Nazis to the USSA. Please grow up, because you're gonna get bombarded for the rest of your life that Nazis are the real bad guys. Oh, they were bad, but they were amateurs, and they had a lot more class than we did. I've always said I would much rather be killed. They've tortured me for 30 years or whatever. They've tortured me. Every day of my life I beg for death because I live in a world that is beyond evil comprehension. Blah, blah, blah. See how much I digress? Sorry. The final day, the judge wouldn't allow me to, so I gave my summation, and then the DA was going to give her summation. Now, this is very important. Listen up to what they did. The DA, I think I do talk about this on another video, so I'm sorry if there's any repetition, but this is pretty creepy and pretty sleazy. And I would argue it's probably never been done in any trial in U.S. history before. So watch this. Now, they knew I couldn't come in on Friday. And this trial was already 2 weeks behind schedule because we had Hurricane Sandy. So for a week in the middle of the trial, there was no trial. So the jurors are forgetting everything they heard and learned in the first week. The whole system is corrupt. The whole thing they did everything about it was illegal. And the judge made me stop. He said, you can't do your whole defense case, Mr. Brodeur. There's not enough time. We're losing jurors too fast because this trial's gone 3 weeks now. I'm like, well, it's your fault. You had the DA asking Rachel Trachtenburg about who took the pictures of her modeling. All kinds of bullshit. You had a witness testify who didn't need to testify. The tech guy from Verizon or whatever. It's like, you didn't need him to testify. I agreed. Those emails were written by me. I agreed. Those emails came from my email server. Whether I sent them or my girlfriend sent them or whatever, I don't dispute. They came from my email, and they came. You have to prove that I intended to violate the order of protection, so my enemies would have a legitimate excuse to put me in jail. It sounds like a pretty good motive. I wouldn't obtain, it's not like I was robbing a bank and I would get something out of it. Their argument was, oh no, Christopher just wanted to just completely make himself look like a jerk, and he wanted us to torture him in jail. So he sent 3 emails directly to her in violation of order of protection, so there's perfect evidence to throw him in jail. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see a motive. You fucking stupid liars. We're all in a rush to get it to the jury because we've lost all 3 alternates. We're down to 6 jurors. There's no more alternates. If one gets sick or hit by a car or whatever, it's a mistrial. Now, mistrials are fun. Means I get another whole trial. Whoopee. But they were torturing the fuck out of me in jail. So we needed to get this shit over with fast. And I agreed because he said we can't stay late on Thursday night. So we have to go till Friday. But you can't come in on Friday. I said, I cannot come in on Friday. I was in Rikers being tortured. And he said, I said, how about this? I'll cut my summation short, my closing arguments short, to give the DA enough time to do hers today, Thursday, before 6 p.m. We send the jury home. I said, then, since I'm not coming in on Friday, I will allow you to charge the jury. That's where they tell you Mr. Brodeur is charged with 7. You've heard all sides. Now it's your turn, the jury, to decide which side you believe. Mr. Brodeur, I was like, he charged them. He's like, Mr. Brodeur is charged with 7 charges. The first 3 charges are for aggravated harassment. Then he reads the statute. He says the next 3 charges are for contempt of court. He reads the charges. So these regular, ordinary citizens in the jury booth, the jury thingy, they will go, okay, I know the exact words. Did he violate that statute based on those exact words? And then, after he charges them, they go back in their room and they deliberate. It could take them an hour. It could take them years. Well, it's not going to take them years. They're not going to allow that to go that long. But in my case, what they did has never been done in U.S. history before, probably has never been done in human history before. We made that agreement. It was a reasonable compromise because I don't need to be there for the jury in the jury room deliberating. And I don't technically have to be there for the judge to read the charges. He gave me the printed out charges that he was going to be reading so I could verify it. On that Thursday, I looked at them, read it, said, I have no complaints with the way this is worded, etc. I'm fine with it. So I did my closing arguments that Thursday, and I cut them in half. So now there was enough time, 30 minutes or whatever, for the DA, Jessica Wilson, 88. Remember, she works for Michael Vecchione. You Google him. He's an infamous criminal. He's probably not going to prison, but he got fired and worse. And all the federal judges said he's a crook, etc. It's over. So remember, we're talking to I'm dealing with 2 prosecutors, Jessica Wilson and Ann Guttman. Ann Guttman had already been exposed by the New York Times 2 years earlier for framing innocent black men. She should have been in prison long before she even came after me. Same with Jessica Wilson, a criminal working for an infamous criminal. Everything about this case is insane, but I can't go into most of the details. Listen to what they did. After I cut my summation short, so there'd be 30 minutes left before 6 o'clock or whatever, and then the jurors had to be released to go home, 6 p.m. And then I wasn't coming in the next day. We're just about done. Now it's going to be in the hands of the jury. I cut my thing short, so there's enough time before 6 p.m. for the DA to do her closing argument, which she said was going to be like 30 minutes or whatever. So we left her like 40 minutes. As soon as I finished my summation, Judge Desmond Green did something that's beyond illegal, that's never been done in U.S. history before. He changes the agreement. He says, we're going to do the DA's summation tomorrow when the defense lawyer isn't here. If you ask some lawyers about that, they'll say, whoa, 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 whoa. The judge really did that? It's fatal. That one maneuver is fatal. The entire convictions have to be thrown out on that one act. Remember, it's not just improper. It changes the verdict completely. And that's one of the ways they faked the conviction. Because remember, you had jurors who seem to be relatively honest. I can't tell. Remember, when you're dealing with number one enemy of government, would they ever cheat a jury? I don't know. Would organized crime threaten the lives of one juror so they wouldn't convict John Gotti? Of course you would. Would you? If you had to kill a juror, you would. If it meant the difference between John Gotti going to jail or not. Yeah. So the jury seemed relatively honest. I'm trying to read them and stuff. But the DA being able to do her closing argument, remember she gets the last word, and she did it without me present to say, objection, Your Honor, she just lied to the jury. Objection, Your Honor, she just twisted the facts. Remember, she's going to have to twist the facts because these jurors have been here for 3 weeks, and the middle week, there was Hurricane Sandy. So they have to remember zillions of facts from 2 weeks of trials with a week in between them. A lot of shit to remember. We don't know these people. They might be really smart, really dumb. They might be drug addicts. They might be alcoholics. They might have a complicated life, and they weren't really paying much attention to trial. You don't know these things. Our legal system is built on just garbage stacked on garbage. Every inch of it's meant to be flawed because that benefits who? Whoever's got the biggest gun wins. By default, if the system doesn't work. And they don't want the system to work because if the system works, a lot of judges are going to prison. A lot of prosecutors are going to prison. Oh, wait, all prosecutors are going to prison. All cops are going to prison. Most defense attorneys are going to prison if the truth comes out and if the system is constitutional. That one fact, as I told this piece of shit Arthur Hopkirk, who wrote my appeal, who's never met me and wasn't anywhere near the trial, he judges me based on what he reads that the government said about me. You see a flaw with that? And my opponents in the appeals, the DA's appeals version, their bureau, are also writing up a case. Only one person's life is going to be destroyed, and it's not theirs. So you can imagine how accurate they are. They have to write these appeals about a trial they didn't see, that they weren't at, about people they've never met. They're not going to make some sloppy mistakes, are they? And to make matters worse, everything about it's corrupt. We still use stenography to make sure the court record, remember this, there's never been a court record in human history, or at least in American history, where it's stenography that was accurate. Never one in human history. I'll give you just one example in one of my 2006 trials, where when I looked at the transcripts, I almost wanted to punch out the stenographer. I had testified that I wanted to alleviate a conflict. Alleviate. That means to lessen it. But the historical record for all time says that I said I want to elevate the conflict. A little different. Alleviate and elevate, slightly different words. I know I'm being a little technical, aren't I? Everything about your legal system is corrupt. Wake up. Remember, they not only stole literally trillions of dollars from you, but you are legally owed all of that money back. The American taxpayers can legally sue these motherfuckers. Now, here's the problem, of course. There's no court that's going to allow you because they protect their own. Those judges are in violation of law. In fact, you'd almost need to have a civilians jury with no judge because the judge has a conflict of interest. They owe you trillions, and you have a right to get those trillions, and we can track those trillions of dollars. We know the judges bought these homes, these yachts. We know where all of our money went. We can't recoup the full trillions, but we can recoup trillions of it. That's another reason why they throw me in jail, because they know if the American people find out that they could all be rich for the rest of their lives with just the money stolen from us by judges, or billionaires, or politicians, or cops, pick any category, you're owed all that money back by law. You were defrauded, your parents were defrauded, your grandparents were defrauded. You were defrauded every day of your life by this government, and they stole trillions from you. The Iraq War is just one example. If the Iraq War happened, you are owed a lot of money. Not only just from the government, by the news media as well. They participated in that fraud, and we can prove it. It's not hard. The government, even the newspapers admitted it. Our stories were all incorrect, and you lost trillions. Oopsie. Well, yeah, under the law then, you owe us those trillions. Yes, we agree. You were negligent. Your negligence, criminal negligence in fact, cost us trillions. Ergo, Law 101, we can sue you for our money back. The problem is, these same criminals put the judges in who are going to judge your verdict. It's all completely illegal. All violates due process, 14th Amendment, equal protection, 14th Amendment. I can go on and on. But let's get back to my story, which is this piece of shit. All he had to do was say, Mr. Brodeurs' conviction must be completely overturned, and at the worst case scenario, he must be given a new trial, just on the fact that the judge broke the agreement and the defense lawyer wasn't present during the DA's summation. Now, it's even worse for them, because if the transcript showed her summation when I wasn't there to the jury was a little fudged, they could say, well, yeah, if you had been there, it wouldn't have radically changed anything, so we're going to let the conviction stand. But they can't make that argument in this case. This case is extraordinary. Example, in the transcripts, you see the prosecutor repeatedly lies to the jury flat out, taking advantage of how bad they are at attention to detail, etc. I'll give you one example, one obvious example. Remember, she's arguing this. Now, you have to have the defense counsel in the same room because you're allowed to object. If your opponent starts lying to the jury or other unscrupulous acts, you go, objection, Your Honor, leading in, there's all kinds of different things you can say. I would say, objection, Your Honor, she just lied to the jury. Example. She said, "You saw Rachel Trachtenburg cry on the witness stand when she was scared and terrorized by CXB." Nope. You know why she cried on the witness stand? Because when I have people on the witness stand, they don't know, and nobody knows what I'm doing. When I have people on the witness stand, I'm trying to get out all kinds of different answers for different purposes, sometimes for the civil lawsuit, not even for the criminal case at hand, but I'm planning also for the lawsuits coming later, etc. So I'm setting as many clever traps as I can to get them to change the stories and say things that they never thought they would have to testify to, because I want everything on the record, even though the record is garbage. It's better than nothing. So, so since Rachel's buddy Julia Cumming, I keep forgetting this nest there, her dad, I kept calling him a creepy perv in my literature to the public. Creepy perv Alec Cumming. That's Julia's dad. Julia was Rachel's bandmate and super cute. So I wanted, since I had Rachel under oath, I thought, oh, let me go here. This has almost nothing to do specifically with this trial. Actually, it did, but not as much as you think. And I said, Rachel, could you tell the jury what pervy creep means? Why am I using that? Now, she knows why. She's the one who told me. Rachel and her mom told me Alec Cumming is a creepy perv. Example, he takes all the child support money that's supposed to go to feeding his daughter Julia, and he instead spends it on whining and dining chicks to fuck them. And his 13-year-old daughter has to listen to it in the next bedroom every night. And I said, that's despicable. Strangely enough, so now I had her between a rock and a hard place. She's under oath now, and I want her to say something. I know she can't, because I'm going after Alex Cumming. That criminal did a lot of bad shit. Never mind, he should go to jail just for the child support stuff. Remember, I stick up for the weak against the powerful. The problem is the powerful have all the weapons, and I don't, except for truth. Whoop-de-doo. Truth is really great. Yeah, yeehaw. And so Rachel doesn't want to answer the question. I say, Rachel, I'm doing a bad storytelling here, but basically I was saying, Rachel, what is the perverted little, what do I mean when I call him a pervy creep? Because she had been already explaining what she thought the stuff meant that I had written in it. Because remember, it's not just that I sent these emails. They weren't to her. They were about her to everybody else. It's called whistleblowing. All three headlines of all three mass emails that I was given 6 years in jail for, the word scandal is in the headline. Oh, he's not whistleblowing on scandals, but the word scandal's even in the headline, you fucking dirty clowns. That one fact alone is enough to throw the entire trial out. If scandal is in all three headlines, we're done here. It was whistleblowing. Free speech. First Amendment. It's called law. Google it. But again, they've won. No matter how much money I win, they won. Giuliani got away with everything. Bloomberg got away with everything. The Trachtenbergs ruined their own life. But I wanted Rachel to say under oath something about, because Alec did this to Julia, he did this to Julia, he did that to Julia. It's actually quite relevant to the trial, but I won't go into it. But she didn't want to say anything because she was between a rock and a hard place. If she tells the truth, she then burns a bridge with somebody who's very powerful and very dangerous, Julia's dad, who already threatened Rachel and said, if you don't throw Christopher under the bus, I'm pulling Julia, my daughter, out of your band, destroying your band, which your first gig with CXB as your manager, you were raved about in Metro after a gig with Margaret Cho. Not bad for 14-year-old girls. And at the end, when I was still managing them, a year later, I got them in the New York Times with a big photograph, great photograph, in 5 minutes. Now, not many 14-year-olds have their bands in the New York Times. So the stakes are high here. She can't lose Julia. So that's part of why Rachel helped and went along with all this fakery, because her career depended on it in the immediate situation, because her bandmates are minors and their parents can pull them out of the band just to get revenge on Rachel, because we all know he abused his daughter. Alec abused Julia. Julia said it repeatedly. We have evidence, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going there. Now, to my surprise even, Rachel starts to cry on the witness stand. Now remember, I'm probing her in a way that's not that big. All she would have had to say, had she told the truth, based on what I was trying to get out of her, she would have said something to the effect of, You call him a creepy perv in all of these emails because me and my mother told you that he stole Julia's child support money from the mother, because the mother made the real money and they were divorced, and because he would have sex with women and wine and dine them using Julia's money, and then Julia had to listen to it every night because her bedroom is adjacent to his bedroom. Listen to this fat pig, gross fat pig fucking women that he wined and dined using the daughter's money. They said she was skinny, there was no food in the house for her, etc. There was a filthy bachelor pad. I wanted any information out of Rachel. To my surprise, she did something that none of us expected. She started breaking down into tears and started to act. Now, remember, I'm the only person in this room, jury, lawyers, judge, court staff. I'm the only person in the courtroom, me and Rachel, who know the truth. Everyone, now when you see this girl start to break down and cry, the vibe in the room to everybody but me and Rachel was that she was crying because she didn't want to say that Alec had molested his daughter. This was the way it came out in the courtroom, the exchange. And I even had to say, Your Honor, because he's like, he said to Rachel, he said, should I make the galley, should I make everybody leave the courtrooms in the galley, like audience and stuff like that? Should I clear out the courtroom to the minimal staff so you can go there? Like, this looks like it's going to get dirty. This looks like it's going to get traumatic. You're going to talk about Alec raping his daughter or something. I could see that everybody was misunderstanding the situation, misreading Rachel's tears. And I said, Your Honor, just let you know, it's not as bad as you guys seem to think it is. I don't know that Alec molested his daughter. I know that he stole her child support money. I know that he had sex with adult women in the room next to her when she's 13 and she has to listen to it. I know a bunch of other stuff, but I don't know anything about that. But Rachel's meltdown, she melts down like no one has ever seen before. I toured the world with her numerous times. I never saw anything like it. She was like nervous breakdown tears, like she was about to say the most horrific stuff about Alec if she was forced to answer the question. And to my surprise, at one point, she's like, I'm not going to answer the question. The judge, to my surprise, Judge Green, he says because he thinks this is really big. He's probably getting a little chub because he's a creep. And I could go, you have no idea. I even made fun of him, I think, at one point, because he's the only judge I've ever seen during a trial or not during a trial who has his clerk next to him all the time while he's on the bench in his robe. He's got his clerk. His clerk happens to be a beautiful woman. And if you have any intelligence, you know exactly what that means. When you're a judge and you have an attractive female clerk, there is a 0% chance you aren't fooling around with her. 0% chance. And I think at one point I even mocked him. I said, I bet your wife would love to know how beautiful your clerk is. Because again, I don't pull any punches. You work for me, public servant. And if you pretend for a second that you don't, your neighbors should drown you in the lake, you fucking piece of cancer. You fucking human cancer. So the judge ordered her to answer the question, making her cry even more. And then I forget her answer. I think she did. I think she even said, after he said, you have to answer the question, she then again refused to, which of course would be contempt of court. If you refuse a judge's order, it's called what? Contempt of court. So you can guess what happens when you commit contempt of court. Either you go to jail longer than you're facing, or you don't go to jail at all when you do it right in front of a judge. I'm starting to see a pattern here. They have no interest in enforcing law. You think, well, they have flaws. Nope. They have no interest in enforcing the law. And if you think they do, you're dumb. The police exist to raise revenue. The judges exist to raise revenue. The DAs exist to raise revenue. Revenue. Tickets, arrests, fines, fees, tickets, money. Or they exist for racism. People say, I've seen them. They've arrested millions of blacks who broke the law. Okay, it's not the same thing. They didn't arrest them because they broke the law. They arrested them because they were black. But a lot of you are still dumb as shit, and you still believe the shit they told you since you were born. And it's burned so hard into your brains that you still think maybe it's true. Maybe there's a God. Maybe. What was your life like before you were born? Thank you. If you, at 4 years old, couldn't remember what your life was like before you were born, you knew that all the religion was a lie. And it was a deliberate lie, and it was done for deceitful and evil reasons. You could arrest every religious group in America under fraud statutes alone. But they don't want you to know that, statutes. And just because there's so many stupid people, I have to idiot-proof every sentence that comes out of my mouth. The First Amendment protects the right to religious practices. Individually, you have a right to believe the moon is made of cheese. You have a right to believe the moon is made of yogurt. You have the right to believe there's a Santa Claus. You do not have a right to mislead your children, to get them to obey. Although that gets a little iffy because there has to be theoretically monetary gain in fraud statutes. We know why government created religion. It kept the sheep in their place. I could go on and on. Please don't let me digress. Oh my God, we're at an hour. Let's wrap this up. There's not that much else I really want to talk about immediately, and I got other shit I have to go do. Rachel exploded in tears in the trial, and I wasn't scaring her. I wasn't terrorizing her. I was asking her legitimate questions, legal questions, and even the judge said, you have to answer the question he just asked you. It's relevant. And I could go on with details about why it was relevant, but let's not. When the prosecutor 2 weeks later gives her closing argument without me in the room, and she says, for one of the lies of many she tells on the record, there's no dispute. There's just no mechanism to prosecute prosecutors who are bad. Convenient, huh? She lies to the jury and says, you saw Rachel, that poor little helpless, defenseless girl. And remember, Rachel Trachtenburg at 18 looked like she was 11. Although she looked like death. When I hadn't seen her in years and she came to the trial, she looked like death. Like they had killed her soul. And she killed her own soul. And everybody's a douchebag in the human race. All they know how to do is be evil to each other, be pieces of shit, and you all need to be wiped off the planet. I'm willing to go too. Please bring that asteroid on. You won't see me complaining. I understand that humans are evil. I understand that I'm evil if I breathe air. The amount of water I wasted in my life just to brush my teeth is obscene. Obscene. Human existence is obscene. We are beyond the worst cancer in the universe. And I'm a really good guy, but even I can see that because I'm honest. So she misled the jury flat out to try and prey on emotions. Because remember, when you're dealing with the general public, they are not intellectuals. They are lazy in the brain. So you go with emotional things to get a reaction out of them. So Jessica Wilson just saying he made Rachel cry, you saw it. And there's nobody there to go, objection, Your Honor. She just lied to the jury. You're not allowed to lie in your summation. You can put your opinion, your spin on stuff, but she didn't. That wasn't an opinion. That's proven false. I got the transcripts right here. I'll prove it. It's false. I would have destroyed her closing summation, but there was no defense attorney there because the judge had done a little bait and switch. That one fact alone ends it all. And this douchebag lawyer representing me says, instead goes with, he waived his right to be there the next day so he couldn't hear the charges and deliberations. But then they have quotes where I repeatedly say, no, I don't have to be here for the charges and deliberations. See what they did there? My lawyer helps with their lie. Instead of saying he didn't waive his right to be there for the DA's closing arguments, he waived his right to be there after the DA's closing arguments. But my lawyer bolsters their lie. The good news is I can sue the fuck out of them. The good news is I can actually sue the douchebags who wrote this appeal, and I can sue the prosecutors. They have qualified immunity, which doesn't protect them in any of my cases. Blah, blah, blah. Final points. Again, remember, transcripts, legal documents are garbage in America because they're written by humans who are slightly flawed. The difference is this is a basketball game where if either team loses, you and the bleachers go to prison for the rest of your life. That's how they designed it. It's one big game. To them, it's a game because remember, if they lose, you get punished. If I rob a bank, you go to jail. That's the way the entire system is built. If I commit all kinds of crimes, you get punished. If I become a cop and rape 20 girls, You have to pay the damages, sucker, and the lawsuit, sucker. And it's 2016. Is there anything that can piss you off about this? I didn't think so. There may be a couple other quick things I wanted to just point out of how they just lie and just how they fake it. Specifics. Let me see. We'll just take a moment there, and we're going to skim through some pages and see if there's a couple funny examples. This is that's not exciting. I mean, it's cute. They're doing the argument. They make a huge case in this fucking 80 pages or whatever it is that I'm not mentally insane, which is ironic because it's the DA's office who has repeatedly in many cases said Christopher's insane and we need to lock him away for the rest of his life. In fact, even in the first like 10 pages, you have this Judge Green. This is the DA saying the Green talked about having me locked away in a psych ward for the rest of my life without proving I committed a crime. I don't know if you know how creepy that is. That's extreme shit. It's even worse because they quote him saying, even if the psychiatrists we hired say Christopher is mentally sane, I'm going to investigate if I can lock him away forever in a psych ward, force meds on him to neutralize this critic of me, my profession, my employers. That's right there. Anybody in law should see that and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. This guy's alleged to have sent 3 mass emails with photos where he put Hitler mustaches on them. He got 6 years in jail for that. That doesn't smell right. But the judge thought he should be locked up forever for that he was such a danger to society doing those Hitler mustaches on people who admit they acted like Hitler. Wow. Bravo. So much creepy facts, and every page is creepy as fuck. But look at the civil commitment. That is, I love this. Look, they have the judge. They quote the judge here. The court told defendant, "Keep your mouth shut." Wow, that's some real decorum in a courtroom. Remember, I'm supposed to be the fucking prick. The judge is supposed to be the good guy. He's the classy guy. He's got the decorum and the class of a judge. He's your honor. He's honorable. I'm the thug. Keep your mouth shut. That's not what a judge says. That's what a thug says. Plus, I'm lead attorney. You can't tell the lead attorney to keep his mouth shut. It's worse than that. He even in the same page, I think, he yells at me for raising my hand. When I hear the judge saying something stupid, or I hear the DA saying something that's a mistake, rather than let them continue on that incorrect path, I will raise my hand and go, No, you don't have to keep going. You're actually mistaken on that fact. Look it up. And they go, oh, you're right. We are mistaken. Oh, well, then never mind the last 3 sentences. It's like, yeah, you didn't have to do those 3 sentences. I raised my hand to be polite. He yells at me for raising my hand. And they say, Christopher's a bad guy. He can't be controlled in a courtroom. But I'm the only one raising my hand to speak? You fucking... Again, there's no word that... We need a word that says super Nazi, except for the fact that Nazis did have some class. And these people are the opposites of Nazis. The Nazis were law-abiding. None of these people are. So the super Nazi doesn't do it justice. Keep your mouth shut. Oh, here, right here at the top of the page. The court stated that defendant should not keep raising his hand. Another thing that, hey, this is really infuriating with appeals like this one, is they keep saying, Christopher said this, but the transcripts are wrong. It's the opposite of what I said. But everybody says I said it, so whoop-de-doo. Remember, I want to record all my trials, and in all my trials, the judges said, I'm not allowing any audio recording. I'm not allowing any video recording. Even when the New York Times, Daily News wanted to come to my trial and film it, the judge said, no fucking way. 9 judges so far have said, nope, this is a public courtroom. We're using public tax dollars. I don't see a reason the public needs to watch this. Ding, 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 ding. Some states allow cameras. Others, New York, it's the judge's discretion, which is, of course, corrupt, because you can see why a judge would have a conflict of interest. A judge can't make that decision. Do it like a cop. That's allowing a cop whether he gets filmed, his actions are filmed or not. I don't think you should leave it up to the cop. Little conflict of interest. Everything they do is illegal. Remember, conflict of interest violates due process, and it violates equal protection. So when I say a conflict of interest, I don't mean, oh, this is unethical. I mean, oh, no, you just committed a federal crime. In fact, you tried to cancel the Constitution. That's worse than a federal crime. That means we have to hang you. It's called treason. Look it up. It's called treason, you bitches. I love this. They quote the shrinks a couple times saying, because all the other shrinks said I was very smart. Even the DA said, yes, it's clear Mr. Brodeur is extremely intelligent, blah, 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 blah. Here, but then other DAs said, no, Mr. Brodeur is insane. He should accept that he's insane so we can drop all the charges and not go to trial, because if we go to trial, he's going to make us look like a fool. The best estimate of intelligence level based on expressive vocabulary and general understanding would be in the average range, said the Asian shrink in this particular case. Oh yeah, Mr. Bordeaux's got an average intelligence, which is funny because every judge, all the DAs I've had, everybody agrees, oh no, Christopher's extremely smart. See, here we have this shrink going, he's not that smart. He's average. Here he says, Mr. Brodeurs' insight and judgment into his current case they're adequate. So what if he beat the government 21 times so far? Is it adequate? No. According to you, I'm superhuman. According to you guys, all those 21 arrests were real. And I'm so fucking good as a lawyer that you dismissed the charges, all of the charges, on the eve of trial against me as my own attorney. You're saying I'm not merely adequate. You're saying I'm a super genius who outsmarted you experts. I got away with all my crimes. That's your argument. My argument is all the arrests were fake. Your argument is that all the arrests were real. But I just outsmarted you all. I love this, page 13. The court. This is the judge speaking when it says the court. When I said I want to be my own lawyer, the judge says, you have an excellent attorney who is representing you. That's the word they always use. Every time I'm in front of any judge and I say my lawyer is a chimp and I want to represent myself. Plus, he doesn't know any of the facts. He doesn't want to know any of the facts. They always use the same phrase. It sounds like a talking point. They say, I know your lawyer, or I've worked with your lawyer for years, blah, blah, blah. Your lawyer is, and there's only one word they use, excellent. Your attorney's excellent. I've known your lawyer for years. He's excellent. You're excellent attorney. Your lawyer's excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Even funnier, because we got Judge Green saying my lawyer, Hubert, well, half-assed lawyer, in the trial, or before the trial, was an excellent. You have an excellent attorney who's representing you. Well, that's funny, because I have his coworker, Judge Gerstein, a year later, saying Mr. Hubert is a fucking idiot. And he even at one point, Gerstein says, get a lawyer for Mr. Hubert. I think I'm going to hold him in contempt of court. So their argument is, well, half of our judges are liars. Or are half of your judges liars? Either Green was lying about Hubert's skill, or Gerstein was. Which is it? Are your judges liars, or are your judges liars? This is why they won't debate me, because they can't. They just repeat the lie, Just looking for a couple more highlights. I love this. Look, he sent Rachel Trachtenburg an unwanted and insulting email. I love how they say insulting. Like that's not protected speech, and it's not settled that that's protected speech. You fucking asshole. My God. Look at this. Here's just a grace. I ask, this is Rachel Trachtenburg under oath. This is from the appeal, just so you know. They're pointing out, I don't know what the bigger point is here, but here's the following occurred during cross-examination of Rachel Trachtenburg. Me. Were those emails to you, the 3 mass emails I got 6 years in jail for, were those emails to you? Or were those emails to everybody else about you? Rachel's response. They weren't addressed to anyone in specific, but I was BCC'd, so technically they were to me. Nice try. But they weren't directly to me. They weren't directly to anyone, which is actually not a bad weasel argument. I got to give props. She's wrong and she's lying, but it's smooth. I give them credit. That's an accomplished lie there. And it sounds actually kind of reasonable. I then say, they were to the community at large. Is that a fair characterization? And then dirty ADA Jessica Wilson yells out, objection! Because she knows where I'm going with this. Because it just blew apart half their case. If the emails aren't... remember, I'm charged with sending emails to Rachel. Harassment. But they aren't even to Rachel. So they can't even say I had intent or motive. Do you see? These were to my other friends about Rachel. Everything in the emails was about what Rachel did. She already knew what was in the emails because she had done it, you see? There'd be no motive to send it to her. And she testified to that. I mean, I blew apart every shred of their case. I'm very comprehensive. But check this out. Miss Wilson, objection. The judge says, overruled. And Rachel goes, yes, sure, according to these transcripts. Got that? I got them to admit, because even in this thing, they kind of try to portray, he sent these emails to her, he sent these emails to her. That's kind of misleading. You have to say she was one of 11,000 people BCC'd. That would weaken your case, wouldn't it, if you told the truth? It's just so many things like that. The DA .1, they say I'm correct. Now sadly, I have to agree with the DA because their argument is Mr. Brodeur was not insane. You understand? I have to agree with my enemies over my own shitty lawyer who says, no, Mr. Brodeur was insane and he shouldn't have been his own lawyer. Let's pick a couple more points. Sorry, still lying. Here's point number 2 that they make. Their major. Remember, point 1 was, okay, Christopher's right. All the harassment cases were fucking fake and unlawful to begin with. And we didn't even have a legal right to arrest him in the first place. Point 2, defendant's legal sufficiency claim regarding his conviction for second-degree harassment is meritless. Moreover, the verdict was supported by the weight of the evidence. Now, this isn't going to make any sense. This is page 53, and they've already contradicted that point themselves in the first 52 pages. But that's too digressive. Sorry. I hate this. Look at this when they say things like, I'm really digressing here. The emails the defendant sent to Rachel were threatening, intimidating, and or coercive in nature. Now, they have a huge legal problem there. Because, first of all, isn't all whistleblowing reporting coercive in nature? If you're trying to stop the governor from Flint, Michigan, from poisoning the water, and you write articles that make him look like a criminal, which might get him fired or get him to resign. And if an editorial calls on the governor to resign for poisoning black people, is that coercive? Ding, ding, ding. If a police officer tells you to stop, is that coercive? Yes. And it's also a threat, but it's coercive. Oh, so if it's coercive language, you're right. That's a crime. Good to know. So we can arrest every bill collector, every police officer. Can't we? Fucking liars. See, they don't believe a single fucking word they say. Yeah, here we go. A defendant appeared at Rachel Trachtenburg shows where he handed out flyers criticizing her band. At shows, vague. Why wouldn't you say that applies? I went to her show, like Inside the Club, etc. It's very vague and misleading. You only do that if you think you're lying. If they believed what they were saying, they wouldn't do that. You only do that if you know you're lying. Defendant's words were not merely offensive or insulting. They constituted threats and intimidation. Now, this person's super lying because it's super settled. I mean, believe me, there's been tons of cases before me that settle this. Threats, almost all threats in America are not illegal speech, says the Supreme Court. It's way settled. It's super settled. You have to have true threats. It has to be a credible threat. It has to be something like, I got my fucking gun, bitch, and I'm coming over your house right now. I'm going to fucking kill you so you never fuck another man. Sounds immediate, says the courts. Sounds credible. Does he have a gun? She might go like, yeah, he does own a gun. Okay, well, whoa, that might be credible. Versus, I'm going to get you. Okay, that's vague. That's not a threat. Under the laws of America, I'm going to get you isn't a law. Now, if I'm holding an axe and I'm chasing you and I say I'm going to get you, there, they would say, okay, now it becomes more credible. But under the laws of America, and it's settled, there's no changing this. Unless it's a direct and credible, immediate threat, a true threat, it's not a threat under the law, douchebags. So either this person's a rookie, doesn't know anything about law, or they're just lying to the appeals court. They constituted threats and intimidation, especially since he stated that he was plotting revenge against those who did not support him. Plotting revenge. It's a little vague. Now, why would you be vague? Because if she said plotting revenge, example, he's going to sue all you fucking criminals. Well, that's a legal activity. So she can't put that. She has to mislead the court. This is the female appeals lawyer. Joyce Slevin, criminal. by defendant's own definition, would have referred to art. So he's saying he plotted revenge. He said he was plotting revenge, so that's also a threat. It's like, wow, you're a fucking idiot. Defendant's words were intimidating, just like any police officers. So if intimidating speech is illegal, which it isn't, but if it is, then why haven't you arrested every cop? Oh, because the laws don't apply to you who run the law. Good to know. Heil Hitler. I hate this, where I point out one of the 3 mass emails was the third one, where I point out that I had already previously pointed out that these girls, and super cute, Rachel, her family, everybody else, Julia, were all protecting pedophiles like Harry Stuckey and the DA. And so, and I backed up everything I said. I said their new band is called Terry Tinsel. Not only did they plagiarize that name, because there's already a band that has Terry Tinsel, but they admit on their Facebook page, which was the email, was a photo, was a screen grab of their Facebook page from Terry Tinsel, their new band. And they said it was a tribute to Gary Glitter. You can Google Gary Glitter. He was arrested for raping children. I think he was even convicted. I think he might have fled the country and all kinds of other stuff. Fled the country. But they leave out the particulars to mislead the court. Thank God my lawyer did mention it in his thing. He mentions Gary Glitter and stuff. I was like, okay, because it makes me look nuts, which is ironic because at times they make me look nuts. But their argument is that I'm not nuts. But then other times they do make me look nuts to bolster. That's the problem with liars. It's hard to keep your story straight. Point 3. Defendant's waiver of his right to be present at trial was valid. This isn't that interesting, but this is page 62. Remember, this is only like 80 pages. They wait till page 62 to tell the truth about this. Defendant's waiver of his right to be present during the prosecutor's summation, the final jury charge, and the taking of the verdict was valid, despite blah, 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 the absence of a signed waiver, blah, 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 blah. There they say prosecutor's summation. But previously, you're going to have to take my word on this, previously there was multiple times in the first half of this where they quote me, saying things like, Your Honor, I don't have to be here for the charge or the deliberations. I don't have to be here for the charges and the deliberation. I don't have to be here for the charges and the deliberation. It's like 3 or 4 times. They quote me, saying, I don't have to be here for the charges and the deliberation. But then on page 62, they change it to his right to be present during the prosecutor's summation, the final jury charges, and the taking of the verdict after the deliberations. Ding, ding, ding. They admit in their own papers that they tried to mislead the court for 61 pages. Ding, 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 ding. Again, this is another reason people hate to debate me. I never prove my enemies wrong. They prove them wrong. I just supply the evidence. I hate this. They even quote the law here saying, as a general rule, a defendant not only has the right to be present. Okay, who cares about the defendant? My argument is not that the defendant had a right to be present that last day, or that the defendant had to be right there to be present during the closing summations. My argument is that the defense attorney has a right to be present during the closing summations. So what both them and my lawyer did is they claim, oh, it's Mr. Brodeur, they're saying Mr. Brodeur said it's good that the earth is flat. And my lawyer is saying Mr. Brodeur is saying that it's bad that the earth is flat. And I'm the only one going, I said the earth was round, you fucking lying criminals. It's crazy. It's just all lies. But I guess the main point, all you need to know is that my opponents now say I was right and that they broke the law in arresting me. And remember, all the other charges grew out of the harassment arrest. So if they can see that my harassment arrests are bogus because it was an unconstitutional statute, and this is over, it's settled, and the New York Court of Appeals is in it, there's no court above them who can hear it. It's over. You understand? It's final. All of my arrests were fake. Now, they're going to try and argue, it's unclear from all this, both my lawyer's crap and their crap, if he's even making an argument about the other charges, because logically, right, any arrest based on an unconstitutional statute is moot. All those arrests are garbage because you committed no crime. So, for example, even if they did say Mr. Brodeur violated the order of protection, yes, his arrest for harassment was illegal, but then there was a restraining order and he violated that. That's a different crime. It's like, no, that came out of the poison fruit or whatever the term I might want to use there. You see, everything about it is cheating, 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 cheating. And there's not enough hours in my life. I lost most of my life. And I'm not even half done this shit yet. Remember, just no more arrests, just to clean up the mess they made will take another 30 years. Tens of thousands of hours I have to spend babysitting these fucking liars and criminals, trying to get justice and clear my name. Now, that would be, if they did this to any human being, they should hang. They should be tortured and hung. If they did this to any human. But you have to remember, why did they do it to this human? Because I'm not like other humans. I'm the one man exposing millions of government crimes that no other person will expose. Ding, 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 ding. Do you understand? They did this to stop Ben Franklin from going over to France and getting the French to give money and soldiers so they could free America from England. If they just stopped Ben Franklin, we would have lost the American Revolution. Same thing Hitler did. You target the few smart motherfucking critics and dissidents. That's who you go for first. Hitler didn't go after the Jews first. He went after me and my people first. So remember that. They did all this shit to destroy your life. They did the shit to keep me from exposing how your trillions of dollars were stolen by corporations, by politicians, etc. They did this to stop all of my political activism. The Trachtenbergs only did this to cover their own ass because they helped cheat Bloomberg into a third term. Look up those videos. Rachel Trachtenburg gate. And it's a shame, but it's Rachel has no one to blame but herself. She was between a rock and a hard place at first, but it's now 4 years later. At some point, she's going to have to go public and say, this wasn't my idea. I was just a scared teenage girl, and I did what I was told by the DA and my parents. Well, so it's like, should she get all the blame, or is she just the pawn? Well, she won't defend herself, so I think we should trust her on that. Rachel will not publicly say her parents forced her and the DA forced her. So remember that. Rachel Trachtenburg has repeatedly said, because actions speak a little louder than words, she has repeatedly said that she was behind this. That she told Led Zeppelin to arrest Willie Dixon and the guy who wrote Stairway to Heaven and the guy who wrote Dazed and Confused, Jake Holcomb. I'm sorry I mentioned the Stairway to Heaven thing. I was a fan of Spirit before most people. And I've been telling people for 30 years that Stairway to Heaven was taken from Taurus. I have a pretty good track record. Let me totally digress. When I first heard all the critics raving about Flaming Lips, Do You Realize? This is a great song. I heard it and I said, there's another name for this song. It's called Mind Games by John Lennon. And everyone thought I was exaggerating. I said, no, Flaming Lips, it's some serious plagiarism. Everyone thought I was kidding. A couple years later, Flaming Lips settled an unrelated plagiarism case. Oh, damn, I'm good. And that's why they throw me in jail over and over again, because I'm a very good truth teller. And I'm not scared of you motherfuckers, so you can't shut me up with intimidation or coercive behavior. You can torture me and jail me, but there's only one way to shut me up or stop me. So kill me, motherfuckers. Stop being fucking cowards and commit to your fucking super hyper Nazism. Suck it. Shit, an hour and a half. Sorry.